Don, is that a reasonable explanation? He's taught me well.
I always thought that was pretty confusing.
And you remembered it.
Just barely.
Other questions or comments for Gary or for Dawn? And we do have a number of department heads and other city staff for their particular questions before we open the public hearing. Okay. I want to thank Gary and Dawn and Sue Nelson and all of the staff, Jen Piffner and Lori Lewis and others, all the department heads. This is months and months in the making. Lots of meetings to fine-tune this before it's presented to the City Council at a workshop forum. And we had an extensive day of that, and lots of give and take, lots of discussion. But the genuine effort across the board is to meet the expectations of the public and to enable the council goals that it sets each year at its goal-setting session without derailing existing projects, so that we don't have this kind of start a project but don't finish it kind of a thing. So. I think Moscow demonstrates, as we could see on the slides, that we really do a lot with relatively less than a lot of other communities in our state, and we can be proud, I think, of the accomplishments of our group of employees here. As you'd expect in a service entity, somewhere I think upward of 72% of our general fund is dedicated to salaries and benefits, and that's just the nature of local government, because we serve the public, and that's what it's about. Walter, did you have a comment?
Yes, ma'am. I thought of something after you started. Gary, during the budget workshop, we were guessing at what our employee health insurance premium might do. Do you have any better information on that? I don't remember that you touched on it in the slides.
No, actually, I'm meeting with our agent of record on Friday. We do have, by that time, we will have the results of the bids. Council directed that we go out to bid to make sure that what we were being presented was accurate. So the numbers that are in the budget are the numbers that we knew a month and a half ago, and we haven't had anything since the council workshop.
And that is what percentage?
15%.
So you penciled in to 15%.
My suspicion is it may be somewhat less, but that was their determination, and we asked for updates all the way through the time we printed the budget a week and a half ago. So nothing had changed up to that point.
We've got to do something to get on a cycle that provides us usable information.
I'll be happy to bring that back to you.
This is not working.
Yes.
To work, that kind of money to work from by guess and by golly.
I agree with you.
And I do too. And so this is an ongoing conversation, believe me. That's good. I think that we were looking pretty good there last time we talked in July at the workshop. At least the new construction valuation was up by over $1 million from last year to $6.3 million. Is that about right, Bill? Yeah. And the building permit revenue at that time in July was up by about $13,000, especially in the commercial category. So we're starting to dig ourselves up out of that recession pit, and people, I think, are starting to look at the brighter side of investment and the opportunities here. So good things ahead for us. Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
And if well number 9 would quit dying, we'd have a lot more.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, there was some help with that one, so. Okay. In that, it would be virtually impossible to be all completely for or completely against a budget. The way I'll conduct the public hearing is just to invite your testimony. As pertains to the budget proper, we will have a subsequent public hearing this evening on the fee resolution, which is distinct from the budget but enables the budget, of course. So pertaining to the budget, I'll open the public hearing. I'll ask people to identify themselves by name and address. If you have a tricky name, please spell it for our city clerk so she can document that. And if you agree in general with what's been said before, you just say that so that we can move through this evening pretty well. I'm glad to see the interest tonight and so many people showing up. With that, I'll open the public hearing and invite testimony about this budget, either in support, against, neutral, general comments. Anybody? Okay.
Can't just let it happen.
She wants a memorial willow tree.
She didn't remember, she didn't say, she got it during the-
Victoria Seaver, 121 North Lily. Well, I remember last year, one of you said something about passing the budget, and nobody said anything.
Yes, and that's what I remember, and you spoke during the fee resolution, but not during the budget part.
Oh, and I'm not sure the difference between this and the fee resolution part, so I wanted to support the letter to the editor that Sue Scott had written. Is this the time to
Sure, of
to do
course,
that?
of course.
Okay, where if we spend just that little bit more money, which is $16, if you had a $200,000 assessed piece of property, you'd get $90,000 and $600 more to spend on things like streets and things like that, and I think that's a great idea. It's just a little bit of money, and I trust you to spend it well. And might as well put that cherry on the top of the budget. I think that's fine. I know there's tons of things out there that need it. I have a question on that. Now, if you do get that $90,000 and $600, is that already spoken for, or do you? Okay, so you guys get to think about where to spend that. Okay, so I'm not a numbers person, but just off the top of my head, I'm thinking, well, take $90,000 and spend it on your streets or wherever you think you need it, and take $600, which is just a little tiny bit, and put some sugar on that one, and maybe you can spend it somewhere that would make people really happy to cough up an extra $10, $16, like maybe the youth scholarship program. You could add a couple of more swim passes in there, so you can bring that budget up a little bit, and somebody's going to kick out an extra $16, let's say, fine. Dozen more kids get to go swim, that might make them happy. Something else that I thought of, just because I like trees, we're going to have our Otness Park, we're going to have our Indian Hills Park, and back there in November, we had a young man, 11 years old, Bjorn Helmer, who was doing the Town Crier editorials, and he spoke about, he always did his homework, did a good job, talked about Mosier Park, which apparently is so expensive it's a ways down the road. But I'd love to see something happen there. Maybe you could go out this fall and get trees at half price, get a couple of trees and get a couple of trees planted out there so they have a start, and give this kid a win. Because I would love to see, $25 for a tree is pretty cheap, or 50 or something like that. And get a couple of trees out there, and then you can have your Adopt a Tree program, and then go out there and take care of those trees, and give them a little buzz working with that, and have Dwight and Tom visit with him, give him a win. So a couple of things like that would be a little spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down, and that's just what I had to say.
Thank you, Ms. Seaver. We can always count on your optimism and visionary perspective. Thank you. Others who'd like to speak tonight at the public hearing? Okay, seeing no one else come forward, then I'll close the public hearing and open it up to the council for its discussion.
Well, I was sure that Victoria was going to ask for a Victoria Seaver Memorial willow tree. I still think that we should have the extra 90,000 and leave it at 453 per thousand and put it towards sidewalks. So I'm going to make a motion that we change the levy to leave it where it is at 453 instead of dropping it to 445.
I'll second that,
Okay, we have Sue's motion
especially if we can put it towards sidewalks.
and Tom's second. Discussion of that. Okay,
Could it get voted down, but I'm going to fight for it.
all right. Everyone understands the motion? Anybody need any other discussion? Okay, we'll start this roll call vote with you, Tim.
No.
Aye.
No.
No.
Okay, the motion fails,
Okay.
but it was a good effort.
I just figured
Dan?
next year you guys have to raise
Next
it
time I
again.
trip over a sidewalk edge, I'll think about that.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget ordinance as presented, under suspension of the rules requiring 3 complete and separate readings, and that be read by title and published by summary, and that we authorize the mayor's execution of the L2 property tax certification in the aggregate amount of $4,731,795.
Second.
Okay, we have Dan's motion and Wayne's second. Discussion of that before voting. Walter?
I'm not going to vote to approve the budget. I voted to approve the 2013 budget with a 3% increase because we had gone 3 years, I think, without taking hardly any increase. We had not given raises to employees. I wanted to give employees raises. It's a philosophical thing with me. I really believe it. It's not, well, yeah, it is the money, but it's still philosophical. I get the feeling, and I'm not asking for a discussion from staff tonight, but I get the feeling that we work from a 3% increase and then find out how to spend it. And it's easy to do. You've heard a couple of comments tonight about where we could put $90,000 in a heartbeat. You know, we could spend another $1 million and justify every penny of it. You can feed the animal forever. It's insatiable. I think the city of Moscow, its department heads, its employees do an extremely fine job working with what they've got to work with. My problem is that I don't think that we make it hard enough for them to have to do the good job that they can do. I see Les over there looking at me. He's got a huge capital budget need that he's dealing with in Public Works, with water tanks, with wells, with sewer lines. We can keep on and on fixing those, and we will. But I would really like to see us approach a budget from a standpoint of what money do we really have to have, and then seeing what the tax revenue had to be to get there, as opposed to what I feel is a revenue first and a spend it second. There's a lot of this budget that no one has any control over. There are things that we just plain have to do to keep the place open, and we really can't make any difference with it. I think the mayor made the comment about, you know, the large percentage of our budget that's payroll. It takes a lot of people to run this place. We've added about 6 or 7 people since I first got on the council 6 years ago. And yet I get an email today complaining that we're not providing the services we used to provide. I think we do provide those services, and that individual that sent me that, and I'll have a cup of coffee and talk about it here down the road a little bit. But philosophically, I'm just not comfortable with it. It's very, very hard for this council to sit down in a one-day workshop and attempt to find places to cut this budget. We've attempted to do it, and we end up moving around $20,000 out of a $57 million budget. It's virtually disheartening. One question I do have for Gary, if I may.
Please.
Gary, you said you got a 15% number in health insurance premium increase built in because we don't have the information to put the correct number in. What amount is that, either you or Don, the 15%? I'll only tell you ahead of time of the questions I think of ahead of time.
We can get that. I don't know if it's readily available right now. The 15%, if I may,
Please.
was not put in there just as a placeholder. It was put in there because that's what we were told by Regions Blue Shield.
I understand.
So, you know, if they'd have told us 8%, you'd have an 8% number in there.
I understand. My point is that I want to make, if it comes back at 8% because you went out and shopped it, which we saw happen with Latah County to an even greater degree, what happens to the 7% difference? If we pass this budget tonight, which I'm sure they are going to do.
Yeah, those funds would not automatically be spent. The council if the council approves the budget tonight, then what will be spent, the total authority of what will be spent is what is in the line items of the budget. Those funds will merely stay there, and they will go into the capital projects fund as unanticipated fund balance carryover at the end of the year. So that will remain, and the council can budget them at a later time.
But they will be collected from the citizens
Yes,
of
ma'am.
Moscow.
Or yes, sir, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.